Welcome back, everyone. So today we will continue with our Terraform series, and finally we will discuss why Terraform is useful and not just to create an environment and all of your infrastructure once, but the biggest benefit of it, at least I think about it that way, is that you can reproduce your setup between different environments. So the idea is that first you will do some development and coding. After that, you are going to deploy it to your dev environment. In your dev environment, you can verify that everything is fine and works exactly as you want. And then with a single click of a button, pretty much you will deploy the same configuration into your production environment. So you know that if something worked in your dev environment, it is most likely going to work in your prod environment. And it's not just that you create something in your dev environment and then you have to start from the scratch and do the same thing in your production. And that way you don't have any sort of a proof that one thing works in different environments the same way. So how to achieve this? It's actually quite simple, and we are going to use GitHub Actions as before, and we are going to deploy to AWS once again as before. But this time we are going to mock different environments, and before we jump into the screen sharing mode, let's just quickly put it in front. So there are basically two ways how you can have multiple environments in AWS or Azure or in other cloud providers. And the best approach would be for AWS, for example, you can use different accounts, and that way you have a very clean separation between environments. It will have a separate billing, it will have all of the resources by themselves, and without separate setup of permissions, you would be able to access them. But if you want to make it a little bit easier, there is an alternative, which is to use tags. That's what we are going to use in this video. And the same actually true for Azure. The best way to separate different environments, at least from my opinion, it would be to use different subscriptions. But as a workaround, if you don't want to use it, you can use resource groups and call them appropriately. So something like my dev application, my production application, and those would be different environments for you. From Terraform perspective, it is possible to use workspaces, but I don't think that it is really helpful, especially that if you are going to use separate environments, separate subscriptions or separate accounts, workspaces actually wouldn't work. With that being said, let's jump into the demo mode. And over here, what I have is my action, and I updated the workflow already, and we will read the code together in a second. But first, what I want to show you is some changes to the settings. What we needed to do is to go to the environments and define what are the environments that we are going to use. And I have two of them, development and production. In the development environment, it is pretty much as it was previously in the old video about the secrets. So we define the same secrets with the AWS access key ID and the secret access key. And those would be basically the configuration or the secrets how you would access your AWS environment. And if you have different, and probably you should have different accounts that have access to your dev environment or to your production environment, those would be the secrets how to use those accounts and how to access their thing. But then for production, there is one additional thing that I added is required reviewers, and we will see that in action in a moment. And for the required reviews, I just said that someone, and more specifically this guy, so my current account, should click the button to review if the deployment to production environment is valid, yes or no, and only then it can be continued. It can be skipped, of course, and without this, you would have just a seamless flow from dev environment, apply, then to production environment, plan, apply, and all of the changes would go outside immediately on every commit to your main branch. But it might not be what you want to have, and you might want to be a little bit more cautious around the production environment. And because of that, you can add these required reviewers and basically verify what is going to happen with the production environment before you do those changes. So with that being said, let's click on the workflow that we have. I call it one Terraform 103 now, and I enabled for this workflow that you can run it without pull requests or without pushes. So just as manually clicking the button. So let's do this. And with this workflow dispatch trigger, it will create a new run of this workflow. And as you can see on my screen right now, there are now three different steps that I'm running, or actually jobs. First one is a Terraform plan and apply, and it looks pretty much exactly as it was before with Terraform 102 video, and we do the Terraform plan and apply. And over here, because I'm not doing the pull request, the plan step was skipped, and I immediately jump into the Terraform apply, which is actually skipped, and we will see it in a moment. But then the Terraform plan is actually executed, and for the Terraform plan, it is waiting for the review. And sorry if I'm clicking a little bit too much, but here it is waiting for the review because I have assigned myself to enable this deployment in the first place. So you can go to that, click on this review deployment, click on the production, that's what you want to do, and you can approve and continue with the deployment. The first step that is going to happen over here is just to plan, and you still want to have it with a gate, so someone needs to click on a plan and approve this plan beforehand, just because plans can go stale, and after a certain period of time they wouldn't be available anymore, or the infrastructure can be changed in the meanwhile with a different pull request or with a different pipeline run. So instead of just running it straight away, someone might need to say that, okay, now I'm ready to do the deployment, and first I want to see what are the changes. So they need to approve the run of the plan command, and after that, it will wait on the apply step as it is waiting right now. Next, what we have is actually a little bit down over here. We have the Terraform plan output, which is showing what is going to change to the production environment now, and it's only for the prod. And here you can see that we are actually going to create a new resource, and yeah, because the code is unique, same as it was before. So we're just going to create the same AHC2 instance, and we can see that everything is good. And we can review, once again, click on prod and approve this deployment as well. And it will pick up this exact plan, so the one that we have seen. It's not going to regenerate the plan, and it will go to do exactly that same thing, and it will try to apply it when we say so, which is good because it will give you some sort of confidence that you are not breaking your production environment because you supposedly know what is going to happen. And with this, when it will finish with the application, and it just did, so it created a new instance. And now we can go to the AWS console, and over here we can quickly refresh, and we will see that we have a hello world prod instance running, and it is available as it was before. But as I mentioned, it is possible to mimic different environments with tags, and that's what I did with my codebase. So with the environment equal prod, we will see only this one instance up and running, and that's basically how we separate environments. Now, with the demo time done, let's quickly check what are the changes from the backend of things from the Terraform code. And here we have quite a bit of them, so let's unwrap them one by one. First of all, what I added is I added a new tag to our resource AWS instance, to the EC2 instance, to call it what is the environment, and we are using now variables. And variables actually also used over here for the name, but we already saw it. And variables are very important because now if you will take a look at the structure of the folder of the code base, I am still using the same code that it was before to do all the deployments, but that same code base, so the my AWS Terraform file, it is used for both dev and for production, and you can easily add another environment if you would want to. And the code would be exactly the same. How it is different? It's just configured by variables over here. And here I defined only the single variable that is called environment. And based on what is inside of it, and I have some default value of dev, we will deploy either to dev or to prod. And I also added a validation for this variable that we now support only dev or prod as environment names and nothing else. And then we have a subfolder with two of the JSON files with variable values that we are going to use in different environments. Because it is so simple, we just have the environment equal dev or environment equal prod in those files, but you can imagine that for different environments you might want to use different images or different tiers of your EC2, and over here I'm just stuck pretty much with a T2 Micro, but it is possible to run different instances based on the environment, and in dev you might want to save some money, but in production you want a beefier machine or something like that. So all of that can be configured, and the only thing that I would highlight over here is that please never ever ever save any of the secrets or sensitive values over here, and instead for those you need to use some sort of additional provider like Key Vault or the HashiCorp Vault or whatnot, but do not hardcode secrets over here because that will go into your Git, and that's not where you want to have your secrets. With that, the main setup of the Terraform is done. So we have, just as a reminder, we have AWS instance, which is using those variables, and the variables are available as JSON files over here. You can use TFR files as well. Uh, and then another change, quite a big one, it would be from the pipeline itself. Now what we have here, just for the consistency, we use a Terraform version as environment variable everywhere, and it is used something like that. That is the first change that you will notice, that you will have from the Terraform 102 code base. And the Terraform dev, actually, it is exactly as it was before. So we do the plan, and it is done only on the pull request. And additionally, we run the apply, and that one is done on in case of the push. So that's why it wasn't executed in my previous pipeline run. This one, where is it? Actions. Over here, the apply was skipped because it wasn't a push, and I just executed the pipeline based on click, this workflow dispatch button click. But that is of no interest. But what is much more interesting right now is that we now have a separate or two more jobs apart from the Terraform dev. We have Terraform plan prod and also additionally Terraform apply prod. And as you can guess from the name, they doing exactly that, either planning or applying the Terraform code to our environment, and which is very interesting because we have additional configuration for the job itself. So we point to a specific environment in that case, and we read secrets, how to access the AWS service principal that we use based on the environment secrets and not just the general secrets from the pipeline or workflow. And for dev, we use dev, obviously, and for prod, we use prod environment. Then another interesting bit and the change that I did is that when we do the Terraform initialization, we now pass the bucket and the key explicitly. And over here, we just say that the key for this production Terraform code, it would be prod dev state. And for dev, it would be obviously dev state. I also can show you it over here. So that's Terraform 102 state bucket that I still use. And over here we have now prod tf state, which will have all of the state information about our production. So pretty much this EC2 instance would be described over there. And after that, in order to pass in those variables that we use, I highlighted them before, we actually need to say that for the Terraform plan or for the Terraform apply in case of dev, it would be over here. Yes, we use a specific variable file. It would be passed into the apply or the plan command. And that would be different between different stages, between different environments, because you obviously don't want to pass in the same thing. But with production, we have one more change. Why do we have two of the jobs running separately? In the first job, we just run the plan, and interestingly enough, we save this plan as an output, and then this output is first of all published as a review for the action run. So it was here when you could expand and see what is a plan, but additionally, let me scroll. It is possible to see that there is this artifact available, and that will have the plan that was reviewed by someone, and that will be used by the apply command exactly as it was. And then in the apply command, that's what is happening. We check out the code base as usual, but additionally we need to download the TF plan prod, and then we apply this specific plan instead of applying the code base right away with the specific variable files that I assigned. So that's how you can, and that's how I usually do the different environments, and that gives me some sort of confidence, as I said, between different environments, that if something worked on dev, it will still work on production most likely. And on top of that, it keeps all of the code base and the structure in a easily understandable format, at least for me. So we have our code base itself, and additionally we define how different environments look like based on the variables and on the variables that can be reused and that can be updated by themselves. Okay, that was pretty much it for today. I hope this helps you somehow. And if so, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave the comments below if you have any questions. See you soon.